and in this video we will be discussing why Game of Thrones' Pedro Pascal, who portrayed the character of Oberyn Martell, was the perfect Red Viper. If you're a fan of Pedro Pascal, the star of the Disney Plus series The Mandalorian, and the cover subject of the October 14th issue of Variety, odds are high the first time you learned about this actor was during his run on Season 4 of HBO's Game of Thrones. Just a reminder of how you can enter our new giveaway in which you can win a new iPhone 12 Pro or a new MacBook Pro. Just leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and watch the whole video till the end. Pascal played Oberyn Martell, the cunning and charismatic Prince of Dorne, who blew into King's Landing harboring a lethal grudge against the Lannister family, who he blamed for the rape and murder of his sister and her children. He was, quite simply, a badass, renowned both as a warrior, which had earned him the nickname the Red Viper, and as an unabashed lover to women and men alike. Spoiler alert for the biggest TV show of the last 10 years, not to mention the massively popular A Song of Ice and Fire novels by George R.R. Martin. Oberyn was doomed already when he agreed to fight the Mountain in a trial by combat on behalf of Tyrion Lannister. Oberyn nearly triumphed, but he ultimately didn't quite have his head in the game, which is to say, he died. Pascal had landed the role after he convinced his good friend Sarah Paulson to send his audition to her best friend Amanda Peet, who is married to David Benioff, the Game of Thrones showrunner with DB Dan Weiss, for its 8-season run. He brought such charisma and presence to Oberyn that he became one of the biggest breakout actors from the show, launching Pascal's career to its current heights. For Benioff, the key to that success is clear. He figures out who the character really is, and then he portrays that man, scouring off all falsehood. He told Variety in an email interview for the cover story on Pascal. Plus, he's really effing handsome. In a rare interview, Benioff shared his insights as to how and why he and Weiss cast Pascal, what Pascal's first day on the set was like, and whether he regrets killing Oberyn off. What were you looking for in an actor to play Oberyn? What did you need him to be able to do for the role to succeed? That was such a tricky role to cast. Oberyn entered the story midstream, but required the swagger of a character who had been sparring with the other players off-screen for years. We were looking for an actor with charisma, sexual energy, physical menace, and depth. He had to be seductive to both men and women. He had to be someone the audience could believe as a killer. Oberyn has a core of white-hot rage that motivates him, and we wanted someone who could convey that anger but also be funny when called upon, and sensitive when called upon. When you received Pedro's first audition for Oberyn, what struck you about him? First of all, it was an iPhone selfie audition, which was unusual. And this wasn't one of the newfangled iPhones with the fancy cameras. It looked like shit. It was shot vertical. The whole thing was very amateurish, except for the performance, which was intense and believable and just right. What was Pedro like on the set? His first day of shooting was a very long two-hander with Peter Dinklage, the scene where Oberyn agrees to serve as Tyrion's champion. Dan and I were in a different country, working with the other unit, and I remember emailing with Pedro. He was nervous. I was nervous too, because it was such an important scene, and we weren't there to watch our brand new cast member in his first scene with number 1 on the call sheet. We got the dailies the next morning. Watching those dailies made me happy. I sent Pedro an email and told him he nailed it. I'm not sure if he believed me or thought I was just being nice. Did you anticipate how popular his performance would become with fans? Did you anticipate how popular Pedro would become in the industry? What was it like to witness both unfold? Once we saw the entire season, there was no doubt Pedro was going to be a star. I thought he deserved more recognition, frankly. Was he nominated for any awards? He should have been, but Dan and I were thrilled that we gave Pedro a job that helped his ascent. because he's an absolute gem of an actor and a man. Was there ever a moment where you and Dan thought, maybe we shouldn't kill Oberyn? Nope. I mean, we love Pedro and we love that character, but his death at the hands of the Mountain was one of our favorite brutal killings from George's books, which feature a few thousand brutal killings, so that's saying something. Part of the reason people remember Oberyn is because he died so horribly, and if we hadn't killed him, poor Pedro never could have done Narcos, so it worked out. Not for Oberyn, but for the rest of us. Oberyn, nicknamed the Red Viper, came into King's Landing like a whirlwind at the start of Season 4. The prince from the southern Dorne region seemed exotic, mysterious, and dangerous in his first scene, which saw him stabbing a Lannister goon through the hand and pinning him to a table after being dissed. From here, we learn Oberyn seeks vengeance for the death of his sister Elia and her children at the hands of Gregor Clegane, the horrifying unit better known as the Mountain, and the smug jerk Tywin Lannister's bannerman. He's itching for payback against the Mountain and Tywin, who ordered Elia's death. Since the Lannisters are basically the show's bad guys at this point, this pretty much sets Oberyn up as a hero. This sense is reinforced by his compassion. Unlike the rest of Westeros, he never judged Tyrion Lannister, another beloved character and the only member of his family who hasn't done anything horrible for his small stature. He smoothly charmed all in his path, but me most of all, while maintaining a razor-sharp focus on his enemy. As the season wears on, Tyrion finds himself in a spot of bother. He's put on trial for the fatal poisoning of his jerk-in-chief nephew, King Joffrey. Needless to say, he didn't do it, but his trusted paramour and most of his family turn on him. Tyrion faces the chop. His only hope to be declared innocent is for someone to stand as his champion and win in a trial by combat. Unfortunately, the champion will have to battle the Mountain, and no one wants to face that beast. Enter Oberyn. I never really worried about Tyrion, but the way Oberyn steps into his dark, lonely cell at his lowest moment and reveals his understanding of the small man's challenging life utterly warmed my heart. In a world where we've seen pregnant women getting stabbed in the belly and babies sacrificed to ice zombies, how could I not love the guy at this point? He's proven himself a paragon of decency and justice, even if he's motivated by vengeance. "I will be your champion," Oberyn says, the torch crackling in his hand. I whooped with joy as Tyrion is apparently saved and vengeance seems within Oberyn's grasp. At the trial, a supremely cocky Oberyn knocks back a drink as he prepares to face the Mountain. "Today is not the day I die," he tells Tyrion and his paramour, Ellaria. And so I wanted to believe him. But we know Game of Thrones is cruel, and I loved Oberyn a little too much. Spinning through the air and twirling his spear, a whirlwind once again, Oberyn fights like Star Wars' Darth Maul, who blew my 12-year-old mind in 1999, and wears the Mountain down with quick, poison-tipped stabs. Magnificent. "You raped her! You murdered her! You killed her children!" he repeats, demanding that the Mountain admit his crime. Oberyn ultimately stabs the Mountain in the stomach and severs his hamstring, bringing the beast down. He paces back and forth over his defeated opponent, demanding the Mountain admit that Tywin, who's watching the fight with his stupid smug face, ordered him to kill Oberyn's sister and her kids. And so the Dornish prince's hubris is as downfall as Game of Thrones has one of its cruelest moments. This is the point where I like to stop when I rewatch the fight, as I've done about 10 times. Why would I experience this again? Horrifyingly, the Mountain trips Oberyn to the ground and punches him hard enough to knock out his teeth, but it's not over. The Mountain proceeds to crush Oberyn's eyes with his thumbs as he sadistically admits his crimes, then smooshes the prince's head before collapsing. It's as gory and disturbing as it sounds, and it chills me to this day, even if Pascal has fun with it. My hero is dead. Tyrion's fate is apparently sealed, and Tywin appears untouchable. Of course, Tyrion manages to escape and just as soon finds its way to Tywin as he sits on the loo. But Oberyn's fall is one of the show's darkest moments, and everyone cared just a bit less about the whole thing after that. Many people will say that the Mountain defeated Oberyn, smashing his body, but Oberyn defeated the Mountain that day. But due to Oberyn's overconfidence, the Mountain had the better of him, who succumbed to his poison and became just a zombie after that. The Mountain survived, and it will not be wrong to say that Oberyn failed to get his revenge, even if it cost him his life. At least Pascal will soon show up as the main character in Star Wars The Mandalorian. I'll tell myself he's Oberyn Reborn. If you watched the video till now, we are sure you liked it. Please drop a like and subscribe to our channel and click on the videos flashing on your screen for more entertainment.